Salem Benedict.
Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to another episode of Face to Face. It's the month of April and at the end of this week we are reminded of a very grim time in Sri Lanka and the victims of this incident have not yet been served justice. I'm speaking to you about the April 21st attacks that shook not only Sri Lanka but the entire world. Now, when such an incident happened, there were promises for swift action, for swift justice. But in the end, 5 years down the line, and the victims of this horrific attack on all Sri Lanka are still yearning for justice. Now, in that context, joining us this evening to discuss, of course, what's really happening in the political stage here in Sri Lanka is the Legal Secretary of the Samaggi Jana President's Council, Farman Cassim. A very good evening, Mr. Cassim, and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Sean. Thank you for having me on the show today.
So, for starters, Mr. Cassim, now at the cusp of every election, you get promises and promises and promises, and Sri Lankans are practically sick of these promises because none of them are really delivered upon. But when it comes to the April 21st attacks, which was such a massive that dealt such a massive blow on all Sri Lankans, justice is not optional. The closure is not only for the victims but for all Sri Lankans. Now, we hear the Samaggi Jana the United National Party, the SLPP even, coming out and saying that they will deliver justice to the victims of the April 21st attacks if they are given power at the upcoming elections. So how is the promise of the Samaggi Jana to give justice to the victims of the April 21st attacks different from those of other political parties?
So first of all, Charlene, let me remind you that the SLPP and the United National Party, led by the sole member in Parliament, Ranil Wickremesinghe, have had the opportunity. The SLPP have been in power since 2019 November.
Yes.
So that is 4 years. They had the opportunity of delivering justice. With Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Bisarapati failed, even after promising His Eminence the Cardinal of Justice for the victims and for the people affected. So the SLPP has no moral right, or basically they are lying to people if they are saying that they need power to give justice to these horrific attacks. The UNP is the same, led by Ranil Wickremesinghe, who at one stage said that if he would be in power, he would call the Scotland Yard and so forth, if you remember about 2 or 3 years ago. But once he came into power, we all know that he is in bed with the Rajapaksas. They are close buddies personally and politically, and he will never do anything to affect the Rajapaksas or to upset the apple cart, as it were. So the SLPP and the UNP have got the opportunity and they have failed miserably. Now, what is different with the SJB is that Sajith Premadasa in Parliament, now this is on Hansard, not on any political stage or any talk show or anything like that, but the Monday preceding Easter made a statement in Parliament outlining briefly as to what the SJB would do with regards to the Easter attacks and the victims and bringing justice to the victims once we are in power. So this has been documented. What we plan to do has been documented, is in the Hansard, and the document that we presented to the various stakeholders of the Catholic community and the Catholic Church has been tabled in Parliament. So with regards to the promise and the way forward, we are the only party in Sri Lanka today without lip service has come up with a document, has stated in Parliament as to the pathway of what we are going to do and how we are going to do it, which I will elaborate as we go along, Sharon.
So, plans, all great. There has already been an investigation that has been conducted into this incident, still an ongoing investigation, I believe. Then there was a parliamentary select committee that was appointed to inquire into this. There was a presidential commission appointed to inquire into this. There are recommendations from those parliamentary select committees, from the presidential commission. There are many investigations that have already taken place into this incident. So is this not going to just complicate the situation, add more paperwork, more bureaucracy, just padded on the procedure?
Yes, good question, Shan. So what we need to do is we need to have accountability with transparency and a buy-in by everybody to say that, look here, this commission or the inquiry was done in a transparent manner. So how do we do that? So the earlier commissions were special presidential commissions. What we propose is a commission of inquiry for one purpose, of a couple of purposes. The main purpose is that in a special presidential inquiry as before, you can't have foreign judges or foreign individuals sitting there, because it has to be a court of appeal judge or a district court judge or higher that has to be members. So in a commission of inquiry, there is no bar like that.
Okay.
So what we are suggesting is that we have 7 members to 9 members as members of the panel. Say we have 7, we'll have 4 Sri Lankan members and 3 foreign members. So that would add a certain amount of transparency and give comfort to the public and to all Sri Lankans that there is some sort of impartiality and there is no nonsense going on here. Now this is a very honest approach. I mean, nobody has thought about it and nobody has spoken about it. So we want 4, if we have 7, that is, we will have 4 Sri Lankan, probably 2 judges. What we are suggesting is 2 judges, a top lawyer and a top investigator to be a part of the panel. And if it's the 3 foreign members, we'll have a judge. We'll have 2 judges actually and a foreign investigator to be a part of the panel. So there will be a hybrid panel of local as well as foreign members, and a Sri Lankan judge probably of a Supreme Court or ex-Supreme Court judge will be the chairman. So that will be the composition of this. And furthermore, why a commission of inquiry and not a special presidential commission is, in a commission of inquiry, the material that has been obtained by this commission of inquiry, the facts and figures and the evidence and all that can be used by the Attorney General to prosecute.
Okay.
Right? So that is another added advantage in a Commission of Inquiry Act number 17 of 1948. So those are the salient features, and as to why we have decided to go by way of a Commission of Inquiry. So this is well thought out. It's not just ad hoc. We've not taken it from the air. We have gone through this documentation. It's well thought out, and the processes have been laid down in writing, which I said earlier has been handed over to the various stakeholders of the Catholic Church and the community.
But with the general public's mistrust in the procedures that have already been followed, from presidential commissions to parliamentary select committees to police investigations, do you really think that this would have the buyout of the general public, as you spoke
Yes,
of?
obviously now when we start, we have said within 2 months we will form the composition of this panel. So when there are 3 foreign members, obviously there is something serious going on here. I mean, we are not bringing three people from Hikkadu or from Mirisano, right? 3 foreigners. So we are bringing top judges and investigators to be in the panel. Also, what we have put in our recommendation is even more serious, is that we will establish a permanent investigation unit, which will be headed by the Sri Lankan investigation, but there will be FBI as well as FBI and Scotland Yard members in that investigation office. So we plan to have a permanent secretariat of investigation to assist the commission. So there will be will be run by the Sri Lankan, whatever the NSI or NIB or whatever the authority, CID, and will definitely have CIA, FBI and Scotland Yard officers assisting in the investigation, because Scotland Yard and FBI did certain investigations and they are privy to certain facts with regards to investigations. So that will be a permanent secretariat. So these are all has been tabled in Parliament, and if anybody doesn't believe this or can always hold us to it, saying these were in the Hansard, not in an election manifesto or in a talk show or anything like that. This is Hansarded by Honorable Sajid Premadasa, who will be the next president. So this is what the next president is saying in Parliament.
So now we know while investigations were being carried out not only into the Easter Sunday attack but many other incidents as well, but since we're specifically speaking about the Easter Sunday attack, the investigation officers were changed, there were threats issued, some of the investigating officers, once the new government came into power, had to flee the country entirely and then settle down in other countries or seek refuge in other countries abroad. There is a question that has come in from one of our viewers saying, what if the same thing repeats? Political threats, political influence to hamper the investigation, which is partly why the investigations that have been launched so far also haven't really seen any fruition.
So you have to go by the conduct of the political parties, no, Shalan. See, when Shani, we are talking. Let's talk about Shani. When Shani was victimized, I mean, he was heading the investigation and he was coming close. I mean, he was coming close to the source when he was transferred for obvious reasons. See, we are the only political party who brought that out in Parliament. This Honorable Sajid Premadasa at that particular time brought out in Parliament saying, and spoke on his behalf. No other political party or politician spoke. It was the SJB and Honorable Sajid Premadasa brought it out in Parliament. How many speeches he has given, defending Shani and asking why Shani is being persecuted in this manner. So you have to look at the conduct of the politician who's saying these things. Obviously, the politicians are the credibility of politicians have gone. The bar has been now pretty low, but you can't paint it with one simple brush. I mean, you have to look at the conduct of the leader. Look at the conduct of Sajid Premadasa, what he has been doing as the leader of the opposition, what he has been saying. So I mean, the body language and the words that he's saying give us the hope. Not only give us the hope, but he will be held to it. I mean, he's saying these things in Parliament, not anywhere else, and these are in Hansard. And anybody who finds or tries to figure out that this is not happening can always hold him to task.
So, well, we will only have to wait and see, because only time can tell whether the victims will get the justice that they truly and rightly deserve, or the general public, and of course those who are really concerned about what happened on that fateful day can do is to push for justice. And we do hope and pray, of course, that not only the SJB but all political parties push for justice for all of these victims and bring closure to all Sri Lankans with regard to that fateful day. Mr. Cassim, moving on to what's taking place in the political arena here in Sri Lanka. The election is around the corner. There was a statement from Ranil Wickremesinghe that the election will not be held until the bilateral agreements as far as debt restructuring goes is finalized. It was scheduled to be concluded somewhere in June, I believe, but there has been some stalemate with discussions that were reported today as well. If by chance the discussions progress maybe beyond August, September, would there be a possibility for maybe elections to be pushed back a couple of months?
No, there is no possibility. Unfortunately for Ranil Wickremesinghe doesn't, unfortunately for us, he doesn't know the Constitution of Sri Lanka. Constitution of Sri Lanka is a contract between the political establishment and the people of the country. So fortunately for us, he doesn't own it and do whatever he wants to do. J.R. Jayawardena, of course, had this 5/6 majority in Parliament and amended the Constitution the way he wanted. Ranil Wickremesinghe does not have that. He is a mandateless president on his way out. So elections have to be held in terms of a Constitution between September 17th and October 17th. So it will be a date in between there. And in the event there is no presidential election, there is no president then.
After the final date, that is the end of the mandate of
17th,
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
That is 17th of October, because 1 month, the elections have to be held 1 month before the date that Gotabaya Rajapaksa was appointed. So that's 17th of October. So the possibility of election being postponed is not so. So definitely there will be an election between September 17th and October 17th.
We're really seeing in Sri Lanka certain political unfoldings that have not been seen, at least at this magnitude, in the past. We've seen political parties come up, we've seen political parties go down, but not at this rate and not in the fashion that it's really happening today. Speaking a little bit about what's happened to the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, of course, there are allegations that the current government is working towards demolishing all the political establishments that are there in Sri Lanka, just so that maybe they could be the last ones standing and claim the prize of the leadership of Sri Lanka. Is this how you see it as well? Is there an attempt to destroy the political fabric, if you will, of Sri Lanka?
The political fabric of Sri Lanka has suffered because of the greediness of the leaders, utter greed. See, the United National Party has come down to this stage because of greed of one man. Ranil Wickremesinghe. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party has come down to this stage because of the greed of Maithripala Sirisena, Mahinda Rajapaksa, and Chandrika Bandaranaike. See, once you finish, you need to go. You must understand that people don't like you forever. Even Gaddafi and all that were popular leaders when they came in. Their first 10, 15, 20 years were really good. But after that, what happened to them? I mean, people rose and just got them out. This is not your private property. You must realize that. And these individuals have ruined the center-left, and the left parties. Generally, in a country like ours, you get the center-left and the left parties, which are the two main political establishments. So these individuals, Ranil Wickremesinghe, Maithripala Sirisena, Chandrika Bandaranaike, and Rajapaksa, have ruined the two establishments there. So now it's a new baby for us. So SJB is the new center, is the new center-left. And the left will be probably the party that emerges at the next election, the opposition that is at the next election. So that will be the left. So it's a new beginning for the whole country, and it might and at times, you know, we or sometimes believe that everything happens, there's a plan, and everything happens for the best. So the muck goes out, the muck of the UMP with the cohorts around not Ranil Rajapaksa, sorry. Ranil Wickremesinghe will go out, and the SLFP and the SLPP and the people around them also might go out. So that might be a new beginning for Sri Lanka.
So when we speak about new beginnings for Sri Lanka's political fabric, it's important to establish democracy within parties as well, because as you quite rightly pointed out, the lack of democracy within parties affects the democracy in the entire country, because at the end of the day, it's the candidate that a party feels that is eligible for the vote of the general public, and more often than not, it's a candidate who comes from a major political party that at least has a chance of winning an election. So what has the SJB done differently this time to ensure that there is democracy within your party?
So within our party, in a sense, like the leader is appointed at the annual convention, and the annual convention consists of the office bearers, the executive committee, the working committee, which is around almost 2,000 members. So
is this a system of proposing a person's name as leader and seconding it, or is it an election like what we saw among the Tamil parties in the north?
Yes, you can propose, and if there is another person who is interested in being a leader, then he'll have to canvass the grassroots and get himself nominated for election. At the moment, there is no other person in sight to be the leader of the SJB. Sajid Premadasa will contest the presidential election.
He has already been selected as the leader.
Yeah, we proposed and seconded that 1.5 years ago, because we wanted to have a clear plan for the country, because these are unusual times. We need serious plans. So we have 21 sectors of the country, starting from the economy to law and order, etc., already in our textbooks. So to take over governance, as soon as Mr. Premadasa wins the election. So with regards to a change of leadership at the moment, it has not crossed our minds thus far. Probably at a later point of time, when there is a challenge to Mr. Premadasa, he will take it like a man, because he's always ready for elections and he's always very democratic.
But do you think that system is viable?
It's very viable if somebody has the gumption to contest him, so he can do it. For example, there are aspirants within our party who think that they can become president candidates. So, well, they should then get the rank and file to propose their names. So that's what should happen in the without going and criticizing the party leadership, without going and talking here and there. That is when you do that means you're carrying a contract of the other parties. I mean, when you're within the party and criticizing decisions, that means you're obviously being paid in kind or bribed or in position or promise of a certain position, that you go and criticize the current leadership to and act as if you want to be the candidate. If you want to be the candidate, then you have to. I'm in the working committee. Then you can come and say, look here, and try to canvass my heart and say, look here, so X is not the best person. I am the best person to be the presidential candidate now, and then I can ask him, okay, what are your plans? How are you going to do it, and so forth. That's how you do it. But some people have lost the plot. I mean, they are the ones who are not democratic. The ones who go around the party, various other places, criticizing the party and the leadership.
Now, you spoke about people carrying out contracts for other political parties from within the SJB. Are there members of the SJB who are carrying out contracts of other political parties?
Well, sometimes you seem to think so, no? When there are certain comments made by persons. For example, the leadership has been at the working committee. We gave the sole authority to the leader to form coalitions. Then somebody in the party comes and makes a statement saying that we must be careful with whom we make coalitions and all that in public. That's not for them to come in public and say things. If they have a concern, they must come into the working committee and then say those things. So when they make statements like this, there is only one insinuation that we can gather, that these people are trying to destabilize the party. They are carrying out a contract of some other party, maybe by going by their past conduct. Also, we might be able, because they have been jumping from this side to that side to various sides at times. So then sometimes you can insinuate that there could be a contract.
So, speaking about, you said that the party leader or the opposition leader, Sajid Premadasa, was granted full authority to enter into coalitions with other political parties and also accept other politicians into your party. Now, is there any concern among the other members of the SJB with the kind of politicians that you are attracting into the SJB alliance? Because just like you said, many of the people who are joining your party now are people who have gone away from your party, come back, gone to a different party, and like you said, the center left and the left, they've been jumping all over the place, even maybe sometimes leaning towards center right. So when accepting these kind of people, do you think that is it's good for the SJB? Is it a good outlook for the SJB to accept these kind of people who have been jumping left, right and center throughout the past?
See, we are a new party, so obviously we have to have persons in our party. We just contested last time with a name board and Sajid Premadasa as the leader and did so well to get 53 seats. So we need to get up to 113, and Sajid Premadasa, when he becomes president, he'll need 113 members. Everybody has a personal opinion about everybody, Charlene. I don't like people you like, you don't like people I like. We have our various agendas, and we are sometimes governed by our personal likings and dislikes. But the underlying factor is that the SJB will not take people who are racist, who are corrupt, and who have no love for the country. So those are the basic principles that we have adhered to. And if you look at the persons who signed recently, if you see the doctor from Hambantota Galapati, doctor from Kandy Vasanta Bandara, and the other person, I can't remember his name because these are our foes about 2 months ago.
Yes.
So they are 3 Ghana MPs, young MPs, educated MPs, and who are not tainted with any of what I said before.
So, with regard to the chairman of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna itself joining the Samagijana alliance, isn't there any conflict there really?
There is no conflict because Professor G.L. Pires is a educated person, brings a lot of stature, finesse, and intellect into the party, or anywhere he goes. There's a lot of things you and I can learn from him, sit down and talk to him. So he's not the typical politician that we know. He may have been in several parties, but that could also be because of his intellect and his finesse and things like that, So he brings a lot to the table. He may be the chairman of the SLPP, but now he will be in the next SJB government.
So moving forward, of course, we have continuously been demanding from the leadership of our country for accountability, for action to be taken against the corruption that has marred Sri Lanka, that has destroyed the future of Sri Lankans. And then again, just like the Easter Sunday justice for the victims of the Easter Sunday attack promise, the promise for, action against corrupt individuals is much, much older than that. It didn't begin after 2019. It has been decades, even maybe half a century old, that promise. So if I kind of try to end this on the same note where we started. How is the SJB's promise for justice or for action to be taken against corrupt individuals different from the same promise that is again been made by all political parties that are contesting this election?
So, in the end of the day, Sharon, proof of the pudding is in the eating. I mean, we are not soothsayers. But you go by the conduct of Sajith Premadasa. For example, when Mahinda Rajapaksa contested for presidency, there was the tsunami. It was before that. And we all know what he was known as when the tsunami funds came in. So all these leaders at a particular time were tainted with something or the other. But Sajith Premadasa, nobody will say that he is corrupt. And I'll tell you one thing: if even if you and I are in the party and we have done something untoward, he is not going to shelter us. I mean, he's a man of that caliber. So the leadership is there. Then we also plan to have establish a public prosecutor's office, which is independent from the Attorney General's department. So the Attorney General advises the government and he is the government's lawyer. So he shouldn't be actually prosecuting because they come in touch with all the government ministers and so forth. So we will plan to establish a public prosecutor's office. Will be headed by a public prosecutor. Will be totally independent from the Attorney General, and their job will be to prosecute, whether it will be crimes of whichever nature, financial or otherwise. So that is another step that we have suggested with regards to the Easter attacks as well as in general to have a public prosecutor's office.
So that is how the SJB's plan is different from everyone else's.
Different, and also the plan. If you ask the plan from any other party, I don't think there's any other plan. I mean, I haven't seen any other plan. I haven't heard of any other plan. More than that, I haven't read of any other plan. Now, our plan is in writing. Anybody wants to peruse that, it's in writing. So that is where we are. I mean, we are such a organized party. We are such a party that is serious in what we say and what we do. So we have it in writing. No other party has that.
One final question. There is this hype building around a debate between opposition leader Sajith Premadasa and the candidate from the National People's Power of the Jatika Jana Balavege, Anurakumara Dissanayake. Now, we've never seen presidential candidates coming for debates. They would come for maybe one-on-one program with the journalists, but that's as far as it goes. Every other debate you see members of their political parties coming and canvassing on behalf of them. You never see the candidate themselves coming and pitting their ideas against the ideas and policies of another candidate. So this is something novel for all Sri Lankans. But then again, when it comes to these kind of things, there is the question, will it really happen? So, will it really happen?
It will happen if JVP accepts the challenge. It will happen because Sajith Premadasa, may I correct you, last time Sajith Premadasa and Anurakumara Dissanayake went head to head at I don't know whether it's a debate or a discussion. Gotabaya Rajapaksa refused to turn up. And there was a debate or discussion where various people asked him for their plans. So it was Sajith Premadasa and AKD, the JVP leader. So the JVP leader last time had nothing to lose. So he came for the debate. This time he has so much to lose because if he comes on stage, he will know that it's just an empty vessel making the biggest noise around town. So JVP won't accept the challenge. Anurakumara Dissanayake won't come for the debate unless, of course, he can hide behind Ranil Wickremesinghe. And that's why they are trying to promote a debate between the three of them. I mean, Ranil Wickremesinghe is not running, he's not in the running. He's not going to get, if contest is not going to get more than 5% of the votes. So the contest is between JVP and the SJB. So it won't happen because the JVP leader, Anurakumara, will not accept the challenge.
Well, only time can tell as to whether or not this debate will take place. Of course, it's in the best interest of the general public that these kind of debates do take place, and we will be able to see the leaders themselves trying and explaining to the general public what their plan is for Sri Lanka, because failing to plan is planning to fail. Thank you very much, President's Counsel Farman, Cassim, the Legal Secretary of the Samagya Jana Balavege, for joining us on Face to Face this evening. Thank you very much to all our viewers out there for tuning in. Until we meet again, take care and God bless.